In this video, I'm going to go over the ELD Clearinghouse and give you an overview of what it is and how it is being used to ensure compliance with the hours of service mandates. The best way to describe the Clearinghouse is that it is a giant database, and is trying to ensure compliance with the hours of service regulations and make sure that all of the line haul contractor drivers are abiding by the regulations and following the rules and making sure that everything is correct. So in our current space, we have two different ELD devices that are approved. You can go on MyGroundBiz and see what the approved devices are. And so what Linehaul is trying to do is to make sure that if a driver drives in one ELD and then they drive in another ELD, the clearinghouse is supposed to capture the hours in those two different ELDs to make sure that the driver stays within their 70 hours of driving in the week. It's obviously trying to catch more. It's trying to capture, the violations that are reported into Linehaul to say, look, these violations occurred in the ELD, and we need to contact the contractor manager, the AO, and find out what did they do about that, violation. Was it valid? What did they do with the driver? And so they're collecting all this information out of the different ELDs to try and match it in headquarters to identify problems. That's really what it's doing all day. So when you are setting up the drivers, we talked about that in this course, make sure that you use their FedEx ID as their unique ID, because that's how Linehaul is tracking them, and make sure that you have the correct information in the ELD and you set up your ELD correctly so it will report directly into the clearinghouse and with correct information so that you don't have issues on an ELD that's not set up correctly. So let's just follow your contract. You have an ELD, and I have some contractors that have more than one ELD. They could have Trimble and they could have OmniTrax. Not sure why contractors choose to do that. I would highly encourage you not to do that because it makes it more difficult to manage your program. Just pick one, but make sure that you're using the correct FedEx ID for your driver. Double check it when you put it into the system, and think about those situations where you might have a driver that drives for you 5 days a week, and they might drive for another contractor at the terminal 1 day a week, to pick up an extra shift or something. Make sure that you've got that in understanding with the driver that they're still got to stay within their 70 hours. I'm going to go ahead and mention it too. The regulation states 70 hours of any work. That means that if your driver, works at Whataburger or McDonald's or Walmart or a warehouse or whatever, all of that are hours worked and would affect their number of hours that they can drive. So make sure on that. Then we're looking at the hours of service, and think about problems that you may have if they work for more than the one contractor or they have outside work, and then where are they at on their availability, and making sure that that reports into the clearinghouse properly also. And then the whole thing about the clearinghouse is to make sure that Federal Express Corporation, which is the DOT number 86872, that we are doing the very best job we can as contractors to make sure that there are no roadside violations, and the clearinghouse is all about making sure that the contractors remain compliant with those rules and the different things that have to do with your contract for moving trailers for Linehaul.